True change in our lives requires a leap of faith sometimes. And taking a leap of faith and throwing yourself into the unknown can be amazing. It means that you fully surrender all of the expectations that you and others have ever had of yourself. It means that you allow yourself to start anew and feel completely free. Sounds amazing, right? So why do so many people struggle with doing it? Because it requires incredibly strong faith. Thus, the faith part. It's about following your divine guidance at the highest level. It's about finding confidence in yourself, your worthiness, your self-love, and of course in your divine creator to catch you, to guide you forward in the right direction towards a better life. I've had so many healers and intuitives tell me that to really move forward in your life, it requires leaps of faith. It requires you to let go of what feels safe and secure, whether that's your job, a comfortable or even miserable relationship that isn't allowing you to grow, or just old beliefs of lack, unworthiness, or unlovability. We just get stuck sometimes. But you don't have to stay stuck, and you will likely start seeing divine guidance trying to move you forward, whether that comes in downloads or sudden epiphanies and quiet moments, or just making you really unhappy and uncomfortable, even miserable, but enough to desire you to change on your own. I've been told again and again that I was going to have to take some leaps, which scared me a bit. I resisted at first, but as I worked on surrender, which I talked about in my last podcast, it opened me up to following my guidance and to take big, scary leaps, and it's changing my life for the better. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the Alchemy of Manifestation podcast. I'm Jen Tammy at the Wheelhouse Project, and we are going to talk about how that sweet heart of yours is going to help you create the life of your dreams. I know you've all heard about taking leaps of faith, but have you done it? Have you felt guided to do something, to make a big change, or to take a risk that made you shake a little bit, or even outright scared you? That maybe you even pushed back from doing, but God turned up the dial in your life and made you more uncomfortable, more ready for a change. This is when we're being nudged to leap, to look fear in the face and do what might make us feel a little sick to our stomach, even though we know it's the right thing and have faith that God's got us. I feel like I'm becoming the queen of the leap lately. One of my biggest leaps was when my spiritual advisor or intuitive reader told me at several readings over the course of a year that I was to make a geographical move, that my guides said it was the only way forward for me, that I needed to pick a place that called to my heart and go. And I knew it was the right thing. I felt it to be true. So that's what I did. But there's more to this story. So there's also an animal communicator I use for my dogs, but she also does intuitive readings. And sometimes when there's time at the end of one of our sessions, I ask her questions about my life as well. Well, she gave me some very clear directives from my guides. I was not to solidify any plans on my move to a new state, except the date really, that I would be guided as to where to live, and I needed to just be open. So I waited for that. I looked at things online. I got ideas, but I didn't lock anything down. I did get signs, though, to start selling my furniture, and over several months, I ended up selling everything. Not only that, but I felt that I needed to weed through all my personal possessions and donate as much as possible. So that is what I did. And as I did all of this, there were still no signs on where to live. I'll get back to this in a bit, though, but I was down to a single chair at this point. During this time, I was also growing more and more miserable in a job I'd been doing for about 5 to 6 months. It was not a good fit for me. It was dishonoring me in every way, from the work to the overall energy of the group to how I was being treated. So as God made me more and more uncomfortable in this job and my move neared, while it's a work from home job, I didn't want to take it with me to my new life. I knew I had to quit. I needed to stand in my power and not to take this treatment anymore. I needed to honor myself. I felt strongly that I had to quit and trust that a great new job would come to me. It felt crazy, but I was shown that I had the money in my 401k that I could withdraw and that would sustain me for a while. I pushed back a few times on doing it, but things only got worse. So I wrote my resignation letter late one Thursday evening, and it felt amazingly freeing just to write it. So I submitted it the next morning. It was funny because after I did, I went on the company website to look at other potential jobs, and every time I tried to do that, it would crash. Just God saying, nope, not here again. So when they offered me other jobs, I told them, thanks, but it's time for me to do something new. I felt really nervous about it for a bit, but I continued to move forward. I gave them 30 days notice, so I had a lot of time to let it sink in. And I got a lot of questions from people about what my plan was. And of course, I didn't have a plan. So I had to sound cool and calm when I was totally nervous about all of it. I felt it in my gut that it was the right thing, but it still made me freak out a little. Thank goodness an intuitive healer I work with said that I had done the right thing and that I would have all of the money and support that I needed when I moved. She said I'd be able to buy all new furniture and everything would be great, so not to worry. That helped me to breathe a bit easier. As I wrapped up at my job in the last few weeks, suddenly I had a divine download one night. I needed to find an apartment in my new state before I ended my job. I needed to have a job to get approved for an apartment. And clearly I saw in my mind an apartment complex that I had looked at online about 3 months prior. I went online and saw that they did have availability, and I applied. Within a few days, I was approved and had a signed lease. It all went so fast, it kind of blew my mind. And the best part? Well, when they wrote up my lease electronically and sent it to me, I went online to sign it, and it had been voided. Well, you can imagine the panic that I felt at that moment, just days before ending my job. I worried that maybe they'd found out from my company that I had quit. Maybe I didn't get approved. I freaked out a bit. So I took myself out for a run to find some calm and help me to release the worries. When I came back, there was an email explanation from the manager at the apartments saying that they had actually just lowered the rents and she wanted to update my lease. Seriously? Amazing. It was all rather perfect. But that's what you get when you let go and allow yourself to be guided. I was shown to get this lease very close to my departure date, before my job ended, and exactly when they lowered the rents. Talk about divine timing. No sooner did I have the lease signed, though, and I got another download. It was my guides showing me that if I found another job right away, that the 401k money I was going to withdraw to live on could actually pay off all my debts. I actually jumped out of my chair. I have had all these debts hanging over my head for years. It's like a horrible ball and chain that inhibits everything you want to do. I'm sure you can all relate to it in some way. So the possibility of paying them all off sent me spinning in a good way. This was a dream come true. I went with my gut in that moment and felt that I should put out a Facebook post to my friends asking for job leads. And guess what? 3 different people referred me to the same company. Not only did that company have the job that I wanted open, but they were willing to interview me quickly, a week before my move across the country. And the people I interviewed with, one of whom will be my boss, were amazing. I got the job I wanted. They called and offered it to me just 2 days before I left to move. I will start at a good month and a half after my arrival in my new state. So I have lots of time to get settled in and buy new furniture, not to mention relax and enjoy life a little. And even after 2 months off and a big move, which costs much less without the furniture, I will have plenty of money to still pay off all my debts. Plus, they gave me a signing bonus, so I'll have even more of a financial cushion. Amazing. Especially when my finances were always what held me back from making these changes in my life in the past. I took the leap and the money showed up. The biggest thing that I thought was an issue dissolved away. God took care of it all. As I made the cross-country drive this week, I thought about the perfection of it all. How perfect my guides had set me up. How abundant I felt. How I was manifesting a life I had wanted for myself. Living in the state I've wanted to live in for years. All of my debts paid. A new job that makes me happy. An awesome apartment in a great area. Money to buy all the new furniture and provide a cushion for me. And time to relax for a while. I had finally turned around my feelings of being stuck for so long. I feel free. I feel abundant. I feel amazing. While you may see these as small changes or even feel sorry for where I'm at in comparison to where you're at, for me, it's huge. It's about freeing myself from old beliefs of lack, poverty, mentality, and unworthiness. It's like I was stuck under some huge boulder and someone just pulled it off of me. It's amazing. It's the first steps toward more. I can see that I've shaken something off, healed something deeply, opened my heart to more, and allowed myself to take leaps and huge risks so that God can bring it to me. Because God wants to see that you're all in, and I am all in. It reminds me of a phrase my mom used to say, God helps those who help themselves. And it is so true. If you are guided to make changes or to take leaps, you have two choices, leap or retract in fear. Mind you, I did retract in fear on some of it for a bit, but I found my courage and made the leap. And it's up to you to make that call for yourself. The fact of the matter is, when you've healed yourself and are able to rise above all those old feelings of fear, those old beliefs that had you in a place of victimhood and stagnation and lack, those close-hearted and unlovable feelings that you have somehow been left out of the amazing life that others seem to have the privilege of experiencing, then you can finally find your way to self-love, to self-care, to believe in yourself and what you are worthy of, and to deepen your connection to the divine in doing so, because God always loves you unconditionally. And as you do that, you will open yourself further to divine guidance and connection with your higher self, to finding the path to your best life and your happiest life of abundance and joy and always being in the flow. Because when we are in a negative place of victimhood and fear, our hearts are closed and we aren't in the divine flow. It's a matter of bringing ourselves back to a positive place of faith and belief that magic is ours, that it's not just for others, but for us as well. And once you have healed your heart, you need to work on drawing it all to you with unwavering faith, knowing that somehow, some way, it will happen, and then give it to God. Because I'm doing all the affirmations, the vision boards, changing my beliefs, and staying strong in my faith, I'm taking leaps of faith and risks as I'm guided, even though the old me would love to have more security and guarantees. But I know the path that God lays before me will be 1,000,000 times better, and I take steps in faith, knowing that it's happening, in belief that I'm worthy of it all, from a place of love for myself and for my divine creator, as we co-create the most magical life that is everything I desire and more. I just want to remind you that you have to believe that you are worthy of magic, that you are worthy of abundance, and you are worthy of the most amazing life that is part of your grandest dreams and greatest visions for your future. You have to believe it to receive it. Not just that it's coming, but your heart has to be wide open to receive it, and your mind can't be doubting any of it. You have to believe it and be grateful. You have to thank God every day for all of it in faith. And that is where leaps of faith sometimes come in. You have to move with it. In my case, literally. You have to listen to your guidance. And you have to believe in all of it, no matter what, even if it's not exactly what you expected or hoped for. Because God will use you and grow you along the way, building your faith by noticing the breadcrumbs that God is dropping for you to lead you to better, to align you with the beautiful life you are manifesting and that God is creating for you. Be open to all of it. Be open to surprises, and be open to acting on things that weren't part of your plan when you are guided, because there's so much magic to come if you allow it in and give thanks for it all. I told a friend recently that I feel like I'm in an exciting time of my life that feels like when you are at the peak of the roller coaster, just about to take that big plunge. It's incredibly exhilarating and thrilling, and yet a bit scary all at the same time. Like diving into the unknown with trust that everything is going to be okay, even though you have moments of freaking out just a little bit. But you're still going for it. You're still throwing your hands into the air in faith with a crazy big smile and squealing with joy. But that's how we should be approaching life, really, like riding a roller coaster. You aren't quite sure how it will all go, and it's a bit scary, but you're willing to take the risk in faith that it will all be okay. and that you'll probably come out of it all with a huge smile on your face and a great story to tell. Isn't it time you stop running away from it all? Stop shutting down your heart? Stop avoiding where your guides are trying to lead you? Stop being scared of the risks? Why don't you throw up your hands in faith and just enjoy the ride? You might just end up with the hugest smile on your face and happier than you've ever been. Thanks for joining the podcast today. Please subscribe to the podcast and check out all of our other resources, videos, blogs, and more at thewheelhouseproject.com. Remember to sign up for our email list while you're there. And also check us out at The Wheelhouse Project on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest.